Whoa, that ain't good. Start out. I was gonna say hello, and I start out with a wheeze. That's not good. Uh, anyways, um, yeah. Somebody asked me as far as like my apartment shopping, like what exactly am I doing? I have like a million choices in my email to go uh, through this apartments.com, like apartment finder thing, and then individual things that my real estate agent type dude is checking out. So I have like a million things to go through. But I spoke to my aid worker yesterday because she's got to go to, of course, a bunch of places. And I was like, I was telling her about how I was having trouble with that one Stonehenge place. And I was like, man, do they have, you go to a lot of different places, right? She's like, yeah. I'm like, do they have like apartment complexes? Any of them that you go to that are like nobody above you, nobody below you, single level? And she goes, yeah. She named off two of them. She described one of them as even rustic. Uh, so there's still hope that I could get a place like Stonehenge, but not move in. Stonehenge looks like not going to be able to move in there. I didn't hear anything back from the real estate guy. He said he was going to call and you know advocate for me, since I was like, I can't. I was like, I'll lose my temper because it seems like prejudicial to me. I don't like it that they have to tell. They're going to tell me how much money I need to live on. Come on now. Okay. I mean, I, I gotta have those rims spinning on my car. Everybody's different, man. You can't make these rules. But yeah, I'm not. I had trouble again going. I've been having trouble going to sleep at night, and I set the alarm for 7. So I think I got like 5 hours of sleep or something like that. But I have to root through my. Um, I didn't ask her to, but my aid worker like a couple weeks ago picked up my mail and either put it somewhere or I put it somewhere where I can't find it. So it's got my Medicaid uh, response in it. So I should call them and just ask them outright, has my Medicaid been renewed? I got the number written down somewhere that I need to call out there in the other room. And instead of just like, I've been looking for these letters to tell me what I needed to know or whatever. And then I got like a weird, it's like you send them a copy of your bank statement or whatever when they request it, or whatever information they request. Then they just send it back to you in an envelope, right? Well, usually it's just a bank statement. This time I pull out a bank statement and a self-addressed postage paid envelope, like I'm supposed to put something in the envelope, and I don't know what that is. I don't know if you ever dealt with. Hopefully, you never had to deal with bureaucracies like uh, Health and Human Services or whatnot, but it's very hard to get through to people when you need to get through to people. So, so I think that's what I'm gonna do, is just call Medicaid directly and ask them like, this is so and so. Has my Medicaid been renewed? Because I just prefer to do everything simply and directly. Like with the Dr. Cook thing, just saying, is this guy my doctor or not? You know, let's not make this, let's not beat around the bush and make this complicated. I save that for my videos that last over an hour when I'm killing time. I save my baroqueness, my ornateness, my fanciness, my attempts at wordplay for that. If I'm talking business, it's like, this is what I want to know, period. Keep it short. Anyways, I made my cardiology appointment, and they're like, "Oh, you can get in anytime in May." They wanted me to go in May, and I'm like, "No." I said, "Not with this COVID thing running around." She's like, "We pretty much have an open schedule in May," and I'm like, thinking to myself, like, "No shit." People don't want to go out there and wake up wheezing like me and wondering, like, okay, what's going on? They don't want to go out there and get exposed to that shit. If you have a heart problem, it's a big surprise that cardiovascular disease is like the number one fatality group, and like a heart doctor is having trouble filling up their offices when we're under quarantine, until May 1st. And then I talked to my aid worker, and she said that's become iffy now, which I'm like, good. It should be iffy. But I was like, well, this quarantine thing's getting lifted on May 1st, and she's like, it doesn't really look like it. That was her opinion. I haven't read up on it. But, anyways, so I have to, so I made my cardiology appointment for, like June 22nd. Like, I was like, put it off June or July. So I don't want to go at all, and I have enough medication to take me probably all the way into August. I got 3 months worth of May, June, July, yeah. But, you know, that's a long time from now, June 22nd. And I I got I had a depression thing going on yesterday where I didn't eat a lot, and just kind of bummed out. But yeah. So that's the news. Like, that's not the only game in town as far as a apartment complex in the area that is not a stack of pancakes. One building on top of the other building on top of the other building, where maybe you can get some privacy. The one place she said it was like a 60 and over or disabled community, and it could be one of them deals like she wasn't talking about those apartments for sure. They had a name, like Friendship Village or something like that. So she wasn't talking about the place I already looked at. So, where there was like 60 apartments, but only seven of them were set aside for the under 60 crowd if you happen to be disabled. So she was like, that's like really set off in the woods. And really, she said, that place is beautiful. I'm sorry about any crackling you might hear because of my wretched speaker. But I have time yet to decide. I'll just turn it off. I have time yet to survive. I hope I survive. I got like a wheeze going on this morning, which isn't cool. Anyways, my aid worker was saying, and my voice has been messed up for like a long time, so I don't know like what the deal is. But my aid worker was saying, because you get the same one, and she was off for a whole week, and I was like, were you sick? And she's like, not really. She said, I ran a temperature of like a low temperature, and she said that the COVID virus is like you get like 103. You get like a flu type high fever. She had a low grade fever going on because like a lot of people that I've met that were aid workers, they don't exactly have their lives together. So she got like a tooth infection that probably drove her temperature up a little bit. So that's pot calling the kettle black. Somebody that don't have their life together, but it's just a fact. But she was pissed. She's like, I missed a whole week of work over that, because I had this slight temperature, and I'm like, what do they think? Do they think like your 99.8 temperature was gonna shoot up into the hundreds before the end of the day? Or did they think you were a carrier? That you were one of them people that are just going to go around walking around. There's plenty of them that go around walking around with it, and they don't really feel all that different. She's like, I don't know what they were thinking. I'm like, okay. Um, so, anyways, I can look that up on the computer if I get some ambition. It'd be nice to be able to, go to sleep without literally feeling like you're passing out. It's like been very hard for me to sleep at night for whatever reason. And I should have woke up and cleaned out my eyes and stuff. I bought some Visine for my eyes, which I never have to buy because my eyes are like always itching and watering nowadays. I'm not exactly sure why. It's weird how you can develop allergies like later in life. There's nothing. There's plenty of things weird about aging, but there's nothing fun about it. But one of the things that really freaked me out was this isn't even about aging, but this just is like a fun fact that's not so fun. It's like I spent my whole childhood outside, like, because of my home life. Like always outside, always gone, lived in the suburbs, always in the woods. We had woods just down the street, like within 2 minutes walking distance. There was a wooded area, which many has many stories attached to it. Uh, so I'm constantly coming in contact with poison ivy, like everywhere. I even went up this hill. I forget where it was, um, but I climbed up the hill, and my foster brother and cousin was having trouble climbing up the hill, and I told him to grab onto some poison oak because I grabbed onto it, and he had poison oak like eating up his arm. Which, damn, sorry about that. It's just, I don't know, like I'm developing allergies or something. I don't know. But anyways, point is, so I'm around poison ivy, poison oak all the time. And then suddenly, when I'm 35 years old, I catch it for the first time. No idea what it is. Wasn't even in a very heavily wooded area. I just sat down in the grass someplace in Orville, Ohio, where there were two bass ponds like side by side. And a friend of a friend lived in a house above them. They're very good bass ponds, too. And I got like it looked like a spider bite. It looked like two bumps, and before long it was all over both of my legs. And I remember that was one of the funnest evenings I ever had. I had a trifecta of misery going on because I was wearing contacts at the time, so I had poison ivy for the first time on both my legs because it spread from one leg to the other leg, and didn't reach all the way up to the goodies, which can happen. But I had no idea what I was dealing with, so I naturally spread it around. I didn't know how to take care of poison ivy or what to do with it. So I had poison ivy. I was wearing contacts at the time. I had a scratched cornea, poison ivy, and was watching the Dukes of Hazzard movie. All at the same time. It's a wonder I survived and I'm still alive to tell the tale because, yeah, that was fucking misery. Poison ivy is like, I'd rather have pain if you've never had poison ivy. But the thing of it is like you can develop susceptibility to like allergies and like my dad never got poison ivy until he was like in his 50s. You want to talk about somebody that grew up in the woods, in a rural. I mean, he worked on a farm as a child, like a sharecropper, like slave labor. I think I might have mentioned that before. That they were using him for illegal child labor when he knew how to drive a tractor before he was 10 years old, and they used to have. That's how they paid the rent. It's like they lived in a schoolhouse in West Virginia, and the people that owned the farm that the schoolhouse was on was like, you can live in this schoolhouse, but all your kids are gonna work. So they would come down in the morning, first thing every morning, and march. They called her Flannel Face because when she got mad, her face turned red. That was all my aunts and uncles' nickname for her. But she would come down and drag their kids off to work. And when I say kids, I mean like 8, 9 year olds. Drag them off to work, like skirting the child labor laws. My dad was born in like 1933, so this would be like around World War One or World War Two. I mean, you know me. I'm not much on quality control. I'm not fully awake yet, and I did not get enough sleep. But anyways, so even he developed, like, he got poison ivy when he got older. So like my brother, it's the same way with my younger brother. My younger brother was working with my niece. They do a lot of gardening and stuff, and he's like, "You better watch out for poison ivy." And she's like, "I don't get poison ivy." He was like, "Don't say that. It's because you can not get it and be around it, or even grab a hold of it and squeeze it like I did climbing up a hill." And that was poison oak, which is, the same general effect, different plant. Um, and not get it, and then suddenly you get it, and there's no rhyme or reason to it. And poison, what you have to do with poison ivy is, first of all, they make something called poison ivy blocker, which I actually sent my brother, but he gets it all the time and really bad, but he just enjoys suffering and pain, so he never puts on the poison ivy blocker that I got him. They have poison ivy blocker that puts like a thin layer of protection on top of you, but anytime you come in from outside, when you're around, you think you might be around poison ivy, you take like a rag soaked with alcohol, because it's called urushiol, or it has some funny name, oil, but it's a resin. You can't wash it off with soap and water. The compound that comes off of the plant, you can't wash it off with soap and water. All you're gonna do with soap and water is spread it around. So you have to use alcohol. Like all you pot smokers out there know about alcohol and resin and shit. Like, it's like that. You have to take alcohol to get the resin off you. So you use alcohol. Like, if you think you've been around it, you come in and you take like some paper towels and you wipe yourself down with alcohol. That's how you treat poison ivy. So, um, or how you prevent poison ivy from getting worse. Why are you sweeping this early in the morning? The lady upstairs is sweeping. Let's see what time it is. 8:30 in the morning. Ugh. If it's not stomping, if it's not the dog, it's sweeping. She got a loud sweeper too. So yeah, as far as like living here and the rent and figuring out the apartment thing, it's like, I've been all over the place, of course, about it. Like, I just want to get out of here and move anywhere. And then I'm like, well, I don't want to pay the rent. Well, that guy's not getting another dime. It's like I've been all over the place with that. But I figure the smartest course of action is, I don't like moving, is to take my time and find a place that I think that I can hang at, rather than just jump into any place just to get out of this fucking place. And just end up having to move from there too. Or, having the same type of situation where I got like bad neighbors living over top of me. That's why I wanted the single story ranch condo type setup. And why I was set on those Stonehenge apartments with the 2.5 times the rent your income has to be. I sort of yielded that a little bit, but hey. Oh, there we go. I have to spill coffee. That's traditional. Um, I have to, like, yeah. This place is like a fucking mess. If um, I should call my friend today and see if he already told me like he'd call me when he had time to do that thing, but I don't even need my brother. He just has to drive it over to my brother's house and drop that big blue scooter off, and then I'll have him drop my other scooter off there too. But yeah, that's another thing is like I don't want to have like a deadline where I have to like move out of here by such and such date. You know, I've been here 10 years, 5 of which have been utterly miserable. So um, I don't want to be right. I'm used to this misery. Unfortunately, you can get used to misery like a stone in your shoe, and it's kind of like reminds me of a story where this guy woke up in the morning and he was like, "What's wrong with me?" It's like, oh, I don't feel like shit because I'm like clean from drugs and alcohol. This is weird, man. I don't know if I can handle this. You know, he's so used to waking up feeling like hammered shit that he woke up and he felt good and he was like confused by it. You know, so I'm just so used to being miserable in this place. Like sometimes, um, it just becomes a way of life, like misery and mistreatment by others and stuff. That all becomes a way of life. It just becomes comfortable. Like misery can become comfortable to you, and that's why I was like I had to do it, but it's like I was dropping out. I don't have that many people in my life and that much family, but it's like, you know, I got gone. You can get rid of them. Have to make changes to survive. And it's like, why did I hang on to these people for this long anyway? You know. Um, so if that makes any sense, I don't know. You know, like plus I can save money here, and I can't really save money. Like, yeah, I'm not going to get any place to live for 425 unless it's like one of them places where you can go to the bathroom, grab a beer, and turn the channel on the TV at the same time, like the old joke goes about efficiency apartments. This is like efficiency apartment pricing here, and it's a full size apartment. The problem is, uh, you know, a guy turned it into a slum for whatever reason. Um, it's not like people, it's not a bad area. It's not a bad neighborhood. So it's not like people would be avoiding it, and the only people you could get the rent here are scumbags. You know, it's like he just did it that way. And he used to say, like, everybody deserves a second chance, is what this guy used to make fun of him next door that moved during the meth crisis. He goes, like, yeah, Gerald and his fucking second chances. And then I talked to Gerald about it, and I said this word for word. I said, the thing about your second chances is you don't know if that's the second chance you're giving them, the third chance, the fourth chance, or the 15th chance. And it's like you don't, you know, like the guy upstairs that he put upstairs that was on the ICANN program to be eligible for, you have to be a supreme fuck up. You know, it's like I wasn't eligible for it because I was too solid of a citizen. You know, me, too solid of a citizen. You know, this guy, you have to be like homeless and like a recovering drug user and stuff, because this Coleman is like a community outreach type program that I go to. And, you know, there's some real out there people like that make me look like an average Joe. So, you know, that's the place where the guy was demanding that the FBI be called because somebody is stealing my mail, and I'm looking around and thinking, where's the security in this place? I'm like, this guy, there's nobody in this room that could take this guy one on one. There's no 3 people in this room that could take this guy one on one if he just like goes crazy. Crazier than he already is, because he's all animated and upset and mad that somebody is stealing his mail and wants them to call the FBI. I mean, that kind of, you know, I don't know how Coleman is funded and or how it works or whatever. It's just a place that I found to go to that would prescribe me Valium. I went there originally seeking help after having the benzo issues. My doctor like gave me a bunch of numbers to call, and it just happened to be one of the numbers. Then I was thinking that, like, like maybe I could like get benzos off of them because I was like, couldn't trust my doctor. The one that headed for the hills as soon as COVID hit American shores and like disappeared. Um, Dr. Joseph Cook, like he was gone in January. And just coincidentally, the first cases to reach American shores, January. Coincidence? I think not. So, anyways, I lost my train of thought there because my stomach said some evil things at me. But it doesn't matter. Maybe I already made my point. That could be a possibility. But yeah, it's like if you hate moving, why not find a place where you at least don't have to worry about people running a sweeper at 8:30 in the morning that sounds like a jet airplane, and you don't have anybody living above you, and that would be a good start, you know. Uh, so I got a couple of names off the aid worker to check out, and I got apartments. All these apartments listed in my email to check out. They're all over the place, they're spread out all over the damn place because it's like an apartment finder service called apartments.com or something like that. And that's where a lot of them come from. And then he's like sending me a lot of different stuff to look at. So, because I wrote it down on a piece of paper for him, but I was like, here's what I want. And I didn't even think or consider, like, having a one story apartment complex to live in because I've never even seen one. So, an apartment building to me is just the kind that, are like stories, 3, 4, 5, 6, 10 stories. We have like one in downtown Canton that this guy lived in where he was bragging about he was like way up high, and he's bragging about having a telescope and how it could look for naked ladies through the windows with his telescope. And just goes again to show you that the universe doesn't play fair. That guy hit it rich because he had relatives in Texas that struck oil and then died and left him the property. And like the guy's name was Steve, like me. He also couldn't drive because I think he had some kind of medical condition. And so there was my brother-in-law and my sister knew two Steves. And I forget which Steve they called me, but they differentiated me like maybe it was good Steve, bad Steve, a good cop, bad cop. I don't remember what it was, but anyways, what pissed me off about this guy is he was like totally shiftless. He never shut up. You think I'm long-winded? This guy never shut up, and like bragged about being a peeper and having a telescope in these Canton Tower apartment buildings. Like, because he's way up high, he can look like all over the city. And, I thought that was a cool thing to share with everyone. And this guy hits it rich, and he moves to Texas. And as soon as he hit it rich, like he bought like one of those massage heat recliners, like a $3,000 chair and a big screen TV, and he bought all this crap, right? Uh, and he was so dysfunctional when he hit it rich that he had to have my brother-in-law help him cash the checks and that he was getting, because he was getting like weekly checks in the thousands. And before he didn't have like a bank account, and he was, shit, I don't know how old he was. I mean, I didn't have a bank account until I was in my 20s. But this guy is like, I don't know how old this guy was. Might have been in his early 40s. So anyways, he, just like Jed Jed Clampett. He strikes it rich. Texas tea, black gold. He's like a Jed Clampett, except for his family struck it rich, and then one of his relations died, and he inherited the oil field. So he not only like it's a yielding oil field, so he's getting like ridiculous amounts of royalty check type, you know, checks just rolling in constantly. So all the people that stayed with him and put up with his dumbass and listened to his endless chatter, like I was like, did he ever like kick any of that money back to you? And because he was always over there at my brother-in-law and my sister's house, and they're like, no, nope. I was like, man, that'd be like the first thing that I did. If something magical happened and the universe smiled upon me, and like I suddenly became rich, I would love being a Santa Claus, man. I would love like hooking all the poor people that hung with me and put up with me. I do that shit now, and I don't have oil money. Oil money is the best. Ask them Saudi Arabia guys that wear the things on their heads. And oil money is the best. I think oil money bought into like what used to be Time Warner Cable is now Spectrum, and they're majority shareholders in that company. Um, but yeah, it just blew my mind that guy, like, of all people in for the universe to smile upon in that way, this shitbag of a human being. And then he doesn't even like give back to the people that were his friends when he was poor. And these people, like, my are poor people that could use the money, and he's buying $3,000 chairs, literally $3,000 chairs. And the latest, just went on the nouveau rich route, and just like blowing money left and right on stupid crap instead of like looking out for people that could actually help it, that were his friends during the hard times. And it's like, man. And then he moved to Texas, so I hope he's out there getting stung by scorpions or red-legged centipedes or other venomous creatures or rattlesnakes, or just boiling in the heat or something. I don't like that guy. But that's like one of the funniest lines to Lonesome Dove, which is of course about the Texas Rangers. Is a guy, they have like a venomous centipede that's a red-legged centipede, and the guy had one in his boot, and got stung by one, so they cut off his leg just to be on the safe side. That's the way the guy phrased that, and that Larry McMurtry guy phrased that in the beginning of Lonesome Dove, like in the first few pages. I was like, this book is gonna be the shit, and it was. But yeah, it was like, yeah, he got stung by one of those red-legged centipedes, and his foot got bad, so we cut off his leg just to make sure, just to be on the safe side. Yeah, I'm wearing this coffee this morning. That's another thing about this Global Foods is supposed to come today, and I don't know yet if I can just live on just Global Foods. It's good food. I mean, I ate a cilantro and lime burrito last night, like right before I went to sleep. And it's like, I don't know about this. And it tasted pretty much like I expected. It was cilantro, lime, and beef. And I was like, it's not that bad. I don't know why you'd want to put lime and cilantro in a burrito, but it's not that bad. But I don't. The thing of it is like I got no idea when they're gonna come today. And they called me yesterday and just said push one if you're not gonna be home. At least they got my number now, so But you gotta sit around all day because they could come at like any time. I don't think. I'm not sure, like, as far as like living off of what they send, if I can manage to do that and not buy any food I do have some food left out there from them, and if they're gonna come at a set time, because I called them and asked them, I'm like, what time should I expect them? And they were like, anytime. Basically, they were like, it could be anytime from mid morning until mid afternoon. I'm like, yeah, no, it's like a 5 hour window there. So you don't get involved in anything. You gotta be like just sit around and wait. It's like a small price to pay for free food. One of the perks of not being able to walk or wear a shirt or do many other things. I guess I'm waking up now. My nose is always bothering me, man. I'm always like fighting the urge to be rude on camera. My eyes are. It's like, am I developing another malady here, where like poison ivy? Am I getting like springtime allergies and stuff? Am I gonna have to start having a box of Kleenex handy at all times? Excuse me. It's just it. Believe me, it's dry. It's just itchy. So I figure it's okay to rub. You know, it's just yeah. As long as you're outside the nose, it's okay. Uh, okay, I got another day to deal with. Pain level is middling to tolerable. It's not too bad. Um, I have to, like I said, I should call Social Security and sit on hold. Not Social Security, Medicaid, and sit on hold for a while, and just ask them if um, my Medicaid's been renewed, just so there's no fuck up. Because I don't know. I could go and try to look for the letters that I got. The thing of it was, like I said, is like they always return whatever document you send to them in an envelope, and it's just that document. And this had like a self-addressed prepaid envelope in it, like I was supposed to send something back to them. All they asked for was a bank statement, so I sent them a bank statement. So it could have been one of them things where it's just like somebody was like chatting to Janice, and I wasn't paying attention to what they were doing while and they accidentally put an envelope in there. So could be nothing, but you don't play around with your medical insurance, or you end up like that aid worker who's like, oh, I got a bad tooth, and it's going in. She said she had an earache at first, but then she said she thinks it's from a bad tooth that she has that's traveled through her eustachian tube into her ear, which happens, and that's why she had a fever and missed a week of work. And I'm like, what? I said, I got what you need, but I can't give it to you because I got some like leftover antibiotic. And she said, I already ran through a course of antibiotic with it. I didn't ask her how she got it without having medical insurance or anything like that, but whatever. Kind of explains that one day where she was looking like really out of sorts and she stole $10 off of me accidentally. And I had a conversation with her look, like, I'm going to be saving money. You're not allowed to do any housework. So really, I want you to get paid and stuff. So I was kind of like just sounding her out about like, you can come here and I can send you to the store to buy like a pack of dental floss for $1.15, and you can take 2 hours to do it. I don't care. Without saying that outright, it's like you can get your hours in. You can do like, I forget that one woman that I despised name where she would just waste my time. And, she just literally just sit in a parking lot somewhere and play on her phone. She would do that. She was so stupid. She would do that in people's houses where they could see her, where she was supposed to do housework, but she would sit there and mess around on her phone and sit on her couch. So she ended up getting fired, and she only held her job as long as she did due to a racial quota thing, which unfortunately still happens because, and this is like a high paying job, But I know somebody that worked with this person. We'll call him a person of color, since I don't believe in the whole racial thing. And they needed her to make a quota. So she knew it, and she also knew she could go to human resources and bitch about anything and win, no matter what. So she not only did absolutely no work, she just made everybody's work harder by screwing up whatever lame attempts she made at doing work. And she did end up getting fired, but it took like forever. She was like the bane of the whole office, and it was because of racial quotas. But I wouldn't like with this woman here. She needs the money. She don't even have any medical insurance or anything like that. It's like I was trying to sound her out, like like you can come here and fuck off, basically. Just go off somewhere and I'll send you to get like two things that don't cost me any money. Because I told her, like, I'm saving money. You can't clean my house. There's really no reason for you to come here. You're not allowed to clean my house. I can't even send you to because of the COVID thing to more than one store. So, well, hi dog. Good morning. You got started late this morning, man. It's not. It's I don't know, like about 5 till 9 o'clock. Usually start about 8 o'clock in the morning. Yeah. So yeah, she got it. She understood what I was hinting around about. She's like, look. She said, she's like, yeah, I have been. There's been a lot of cancellations and stuff since the COVID virus. Uh, but you as long as you call like early enough, sometimes I can get a fill-in. She's like one of them hyper honest people. That's why when she stole the $10 off me, I understood that she didn't do it on purpose. And I would have offered her a $10 tip on other times, like I have with other aid workers, because they don't make shit. And they got a hard job. They got to wash up old people, and it's a hard job being a health home aid worker. And so I was just trying to be delicate about it. Like you can gold brick. I don't care. You can take 2 hours to get me some dental floss. I don't care, but I can't be spending a lot of money. Um, but yeah, I guess I'm gonna go and listen to the dog bark for a while. And but yeah, that is my plan. Is like to put up with whatever's going on here, and I probably have to go to the dentist because I'm getting some sense. Usually, by the time you get pain and stuff, it's too late. But this doesn't even look like much. It's just it's close to the gum line. What pisses me off about inferior dentistry is this tooth was worked on already, and I showed them that spot, and they were like, "It's probably just a stain. It's a fucking cavity." It's like you already worked on the tooth, and you missed a spot, and now I have to go in like to your office during a pandemic when I'm in the highest group for fatality, and have you like stick your fingers in my face and touch surfaces that like how many other people have touched, and just like roll the dice and hope I don't catch things. But yeah, that's got to be addressed. So that's wonderful. Um, I already pointed it out to them, and they're like, "Oh, that's probably just a stain." Because I was looking, and there's like a place that's like a black spot on the back of my teeth. It's like, man, you people suck. And it's like that's like I said in that one video. That's like the worst thing about being poor. I think it's called. And it's me all fucked up. I'm all fucked up from pain to where like they didn't give me any pain medication, and I'm all fucked up from pain to where it's like I'm on drugs. You know, it's like I'm on drugs when I should have been on drugs, but the drug is pain. Or I'm just loopy. I'm like, oh, I can't believe how bad this hurts. And they didn't give me any pain pills for it. And then the next time, I got some illegally, and I made sure, because fool me once, shame on me. But yeah, I was ready the next time. I was loaded for bear. I had tramadol and codeine pills, and like Yeah, that didn't happen again, but I was like, oh my God, the pain was just unbelievable. But yeah, that's one of the worst things about being poor is and having shitty insurance and stuff is the inferior dentistry. They could actually fill a tooth and leave a cavity in there for later. And it's like, are you doing that shit on purpose to make more money? I mean, seriously. They filled this part of the tooth and left the back of the tooth like, and I even pointed it out to them, and they were like, "Oh, that's just a stain or something." It's like, stain my ass. It's sensitive, and it's too close to the gum line for comfort. And if I lose that tooth, it'll just be another tooth. It's like, but that's my anchor tooth for having like a partial plate. So life continues to suck, and I don't expect it to unsuck. Just I'm hoping it'll get a little better, you know, and that yeah, I'm just hoping to make it a little bit. All I want is this is my ambition is life is to suffer and die in misery, but to do it in a quiet place. that's that's my ambition for life at this point. It's just to suffer and die peacefully somewhere. You know, where I'm not like listening to sweepers and dogs before 9 o'clock in the morning, and dogs howling like a madman right now. You can't hear it because of this fancy new microphone and the fact that I got the fan on, but just howling, going mental, and yeah, that's what I didn't understand about this place. It's like, why did this guy want to turn this into a slum? Just, I mean, he could raise my rent. I wouldn't have minded. That's the only good thing about the dude is he's never raised my rent since I've been living here. He just lets anybody live here. But why did you like deliberately pick this building in this neighborhood to turn it into a drug house and to not screen people? And he turned it. It's sort of like he turned it into a social experiment, like you know, because he wants to like stroke his ego because he's like a faux Christian. So he kind of like you know he's talking about giving people second chances, and he's like okay, how are you doing good in the world by throwing meth addicts in a building with good people and ruining their lives? You know, and I don't have these conversations with the guys because the guy is not logical. I have this conversation with like other people, but it's like you got people in there like Roy is an asshole, which he actually says I'm an asshole. That's one of his quotes. So you know he or I'm a dick. He knows what he is, but he's a citizen. In other words, like he's quiet. He came over like the first time where he rolled over in his wheelchair. One of the first times I met him, he said, "Look, you know, if my music's ever too loud, just knock on my door and I'll turn it down." He's like, "Just don't bother calling the landlord and making a big fuss over it. Just knock on my door." I'm like, "Dude, I'm never gonna knock on your door over your music being too loud." Because I'm thinking to myself, first of all, what kind of asshole would do that to somebody in a wheelchair? Second of all, it's the music I grew up with. I'm not crazy fond of it now, but it's like Van Halen and you know Led Zeppelin and classic rock type sound and stuff. So what do I care? You know, it doesn't bother me, and I wouldn't do that anyway. You're in a wheelchair. I mean, hey, guy in a wheelchair, stop having any joy and fun in life at all. And all, you know, like the dick move. But he's a citizen. I'm a citizen. Upstairs has been like Gerald Miller's social experiment and his second chances, and is like throw anybody up there and just go ahead. And you know, this lady's on Stark Metropolitan Housing with the dog, so she ain't going nowhere because that's guaranteed income for him. And the meth people were on housing assistance too. So anytime he gets like guaranteed income, it doesn't they could be up there like starting like fires. Wouldn't matter, you know. He don't care. He stopped caring about this place a long time ago. had that drunk guy here that, I don't know if he's still here or not, but the PTSD guy up there, like drunk off his ass to where he can't walk, and like with no electricity for like 2.5 months, and light using candles, open flames, you know. And I told him about that situation ahead of time. I'm like, look, this guy got. I said I know this guy, and I told him like exactly how it was going to be, and that he had PTSD from his childhood, from being in the war, that he's an alcoholic, and he's like, I know this guy, and he's like, that sounds like the kind of guy I want to sign to a year lease. So yeah, I have no idea why he wanted to do. Like I said, I think it's an ego stroke for him. Like the Chris that will prop up his idea of, he's a narcissist. Clearly, I mean, I talked to my somebody in the psych field about him, and he goes, "Oh, that's a sign of clinical narcissism." Because I talked about being sprayed in the face with poison, and how he couldn't let that go. That I swore at it. He had to have his say, because it's about him. It's not about me getting sprayed in the face with poison. It's about him and his exterminator as an extension of himself, and the fact that I said, get the fuck out of the way, very mean way, to the exterminator, and pushed him out of the way after I got sprayed in the face with poison. Instead of like saying, I'm sorry you got sprayed in the face with poison, since a narcissist sees the world as an extension of himself, and it just sees everything as related to himself. It's all about, that's what a true narcissism is. Isn't I love myself. That's like the popular definition of narcissism. The clinical psychological definition of narcissism is to see everything in the world as connected to you, having to do with you. It's all about you. It has nothing to do with self-love. But this could be part of his narcissism, to feed his idea of himself as a good Christian, to rent the shit, or shitty people, and people that don't give a fuck, and drug addicts, and give second chances to people, as he calls them. That's what he's actually told the neighbors, other neighbors. It's like, he's giving second chances to people. It's like, what about the citizens in here? Do your fucking social experiment somewhere else. Have a whole. This is what you should do. Instead of having two people that pay the rent on time, and that are citizens, and that know how to live in a building quietly and peacefully, have a whole building where you turn it into a social experiment. Throw all the fuck ups in one building, and do your social experimentation there. Don't ruin my life to prop up your ego with your second chance Christian bullshit social experiments. Anyway, I gotta listen to the dog for a while yet, and that's enough of a video, I guess. Just I enjoy talking, and I enjoy words, and I wish I had more teeth. Um, don't like the way I sound anymore. I don't like the way my voice sounds anymore, but I still am always going to enjoy talking. It's what I do. It's part of my being. I've always believed in self-expression. So, and it helps. I don't have much else I can do right now, especially. Maybe things will change, and I can spend my time doing other things. You should see what my living room looks like now. It's a complete fucking nightmare. I have to get out there and like clear an area in front of the doorway, and root around, and maybe look for my mail, and then I have to. I should have already done that. Call Medicaid, but I don't know when those global foods people are gonna come, so I have like a big pile of junk, because there's like a bunch of gardening stuff piled up by the doorway that my niece failed to take with her. Um, and there's a bunch of boxes and stuff by the door, so I have to like just on a basic logistics standpoint, I have to get all that stuff away from the door so the woman can get in the actual apartment. That's what it looks like out there. There's like a couch standing up on end, and a treadmill standing up against the couch. A broken scooter that's all packed into a corner. And there's a giant blue scooter just sitting in the living room. I mean, it looks like a mad man lives here. I wonder why that is. But yeah, this is sensitive now, like with the intake of air and shit. So I mean, I can't really put off going to the dentist too much longer, COVID or no COVID. So it's like gonna be like flip a coin. Um, I'm not my dad. I'm not gonna be, or my brother. So I'm not gonna be able to take a pair of pliers and a rag and just yank that thing out of there. Because I can't do stuff like that. But the fact that it hurts, usually once it hurts, it's too late. I do have like some antibiotic and stuff, but dentists are still doing business. They just make you take your temperature before you go in there. When really they're the threat, especially in my case. I mean, they're the threat to me, and then I got to get in a car that, like for a transportation service, which I don't know how many people have been in a car, and you know, what what do I do? Just sit there and let. If I lose this tooth, that's my anchor, like I said, for my partial plate. So life continues to be a joy. You know, it gets so much. It's so much fun. Uh, Such an enjoyable ride, but it's why you have to learn to laugh at your own misery because especially when you start to get older, you get served up a big old ladle full of it. So you got to eat that gruel and pretend that it's strawberry sundae. Uh, yeah. Youth do be wasted on the young, that's for sure. Because when I was young, I was miserable too, but that was only because I did not understand the full depth of misery yet. You know. Then when I see young people going around making themselves miserable, like certain people in the family and just people in general going around like being bothered about the stupidest crap imaginable. It's like it's frustrating to watch. It's like it's like that dude my, that I was talking about that's 32 years old talking to a 52-year-old that's got like a chronic pain disease, giving them strategies to have a more uplifting like view of life and how you can change your thinking and stuff. And it's like you don't think I know this stuff? I got 20 years on you, dude. I've had to deal with a chronic pain disease since I was 18 years old. I think I understand how to deal. I was like, I understand you're doing your job, but uh, yeah, you got no clue. And if I was you, uh, I would not uh, be even thinking about suffering from depression or having bad days or anything like that. But the thing of it is I've never been in that kind of shape because I got sick when I was very young. But even when I was like in my 20s and could do a lot of stuff that I can't do now, I still had like neuropathy in my feet and still had like weakness on my left side and had issues and stuff. So I saw myself as like worse off than I was, but I would kill to go back and have that body now. And a lot of times, all I did is sit around and mope about like my situation. Like I remember one time, this sticks out in my brain for some reason. It's like I went to a bar and I was sitting in a bar and it had them high stools, and I couldn't keep my feet on the little railing on the stool, and it just kept slipping off because my legs were messed up. And I'm like, I'm sitting here looking like an idiot. I can't even keep my feet on the because I had to hop up on this ridiculous bar stool. And I can't even keep my feet like on this railing. They just keep slipping off. And it's like now I would be like happy to have that little bit of an issue. Um, where I couldn't keep. I remember that thinking like this is some bullshit, and then yeah. So I don't really blame the 32-year-old dude for not thinking out of the box, because it's hard to think out of. It's hard to think from another person's perspective, another person's point of view, and to that for one person to even reach out and understand the mindset of another person. I've known people my whole life that I don't understand at all. It's like I don't understand why you would behave this way, and that's some of the relationships that I've had dissolve. It's like, why would you treat? I don't want to go into it, but it's like, why would you treat me like shit? It's like I've always had your back. It's like you're just hurting yourself. That doesn't even make sense from a narcissist's point of view. It's like it doesn't make any sense. It's like, why would you fuck me over when I'm the guy that, like, 2 years ago you called up and said you need $200 to fix your furnace, and boom, $200. You don't have nobody like that in your life that's just gonna be like, here, boom, you need help, boom, here's some money, and yeah, and now you don't got him no more. So what were you thinking? That's even bad thinking and bad logic from a narcissist. So, anyways, so yeah, maybe this was informative and you learned something. And I don't know. I doubt it. I probably just told you a bunch of stuff that you already know. And spent another 40 minutes of your time doing it. But if you're trapped inside, and I only got I got I get less than 20 views on these videos now anyway. So, I'm speaking to a select clientele. So it doesn't really matter anyway. Like I said, I would talk if just one person was listening to me. I would not sit here and ramble to myself. So internet's nice for me that way. And I don't pander. I don't. I'm gonna say what I'm gonna say, and let the chips fall where they may. And I'm gonna end on a rhyme. Oh, I was about to end on a rhyme until I pushed the cursor off the stop button. Damn.